2 years ago, I packed up my life in California, sold most of my things, and I moved across the world to Lisbon, Portugal. And I wish I could tell you that life has been all sunshine and pastries, but unfortunately, the reality is way more interesting than that. I was living in California at the time, and honestly, life there was just life. I wasn't really surviving. I was just surviving. I wasn't thriving. I wasn't doing anything great with my life. I was working a job I hated. I was living in my parents' backyard. I was just existing. Like literally nothing in my life at the time was thriving. Well, yes, my life was full. I had friends, my family was there. I had things to do on the weekends. I had a car that I can go to places which I don't have here, which is crazy to me because I've had a car since I was 15 years old. And life in California was just different, way different. I had this dream of living a completely different life, and that's how I ended up visiting Portugal for 3 months. Well, it wasn't in 3 months exactly. Was going to spend here a month, and then I was going to go to the south of France for a month, and then I was going to go to Italy. Italy ended up not working out, so I went to Portugal, I went to south of France, and then I came back to Portugal because that's how much I loved life here. Um, I started looking at lives in different places and see what would give me the quality of life that I was looking for, which was, a slow pace of life, sunshine and rainbows. I wanted a warm environment, something close to San Diego, which is where I'm from. And when I was here, I knew that life here had something for me. The minute, literally on day 3 of the time that I was going to spend here, I knew that this was it for me. And from then on out, I was like, I'm going to move here. So that's how that started. First, that's not how exactly it worked out here. The reality of living here is completely different than the vacation life here. There are really good things. Like the good things about here are like the coffee culture is amazing. You can go spend all day at a cafe if you wanted to, which, I don't recommend, but you absolutely can. But you can definitely do it. And there's just so much good food. Like restaurants here are delicious, and I love that. I love that, love that so much. The beaches here, like chef's kiss. Like I think one of the top rated beaches in one of the travel lists is in Portugal in the south. Um, I love the beaches here. The water is absolutely freezing, but the beaches are amazing. And if there's a sense of safety here that I've never experienced anywhere else. I'm clearly not used to walking anywhere because I grew up in California. I always had a car. You can barely walk anywhere in California, but I literally at the time worked an hour in traffic to my job. I was working remote after COVID happened, and I had been working remote since. Um, and it just takes forever to get anywhere. The bad things, the challenges, the challenges about being in Portugal is that the bureaucracy here is painfully slow. Like, I got lucky when I first applied for my residency card that I got it right away in like 3 months. But that's not the case for most people. Most people have to wait months on end to get their residency card. I am experiencing that now that I have to renew my residency card. And it actually expired yesterday. Today's August 12th. My card expired on the 11th. Have I received an email to renew it? No. Am I hoping I get it sometime soon? Yes. Have I read on forums that it's taking at least 6 months for people to get their appointments to renew? Unfortunately, yes. The language barrier is a big one. A lot of people here speak English. There's a lot of expats, a lot of the locals speak English, but you can't fully integrate without speaking some Portuguese. And my Portuguese is very much Portuñol, which is Portuguese and Spanish mixed together, having a baby. And you can very much tell when the Spanish words come out of my mouth because, Portuguese and Spanish are like cousins, distant cousins, maybe closer cousins, but there's a lot of words that overlap that you can know enough to get by, but you definitely need to know more Portuguese, especially if you want to deal with like the bureaucracy, if you want to get a job, if you want to go to more local places, if you want to live outside the city. Knowing Portuguese is like everything. another challenging part about being here is the homesickness. I am a very family oriented person, and being here and being away from my family and being away from the weekly gatherings that we used to have has been difficult. And then having to make friends here that feel like family has also been difficult, because if there's one thing I learned about people who pick up their lives and move abroad is that they're very, very extremely hyper independent. And as a person who's not very hyper independent and who thrives in community, it's been such a wake up call to be like, oh, I am having an emergency. I have to go to the hospital, and I literally don't have my parents here. I don't have a best friend here that I can call in the middle of the night and be like, hey, girl, like, I am at the hospital right now. Can you come meet me? I don't have that here. And I think that finding a person or friends that I can do that with has been one thing that I've been striving towards, and I hope to have at least a better sense of community here. I did spend my first holiday here by myself, and the winters in Portugal are brutal. I know that, California is very much, it's 70 degrees and it's like, oh my God, let me put on my puffy jacket. But here it's literally like 17 degrees Celsius, which to me is a lot. And I'm freezing. I'm like freezing my butt off. And the first winter I spent here, my heater broke. So I was just literally walking around with like a big puffy jacket in my apartment, trying to like find warmth. And at the time I was so depressed that it like took everything in me to just like put on anything or just get out of bed. So the fact that I was freezing and I felt like not good made laying in bed and made the depression even worse, which I cannot believe I survived that first winter here. I wish I could give myself like $1,000 for that. So here's what I've learned in my time here. First of all, you have to give yourself at least 6 months to adjust. The honeymoon phase fades, and when real life sets in and you're like, okay, this isn't just a vacation anymore. This is my real life. This is where I live. I have to find routines. I have to make friends. I have to figure out grocery stores. I have to learn how to speak more Portuguese. That is definitely like the wake up call that some people, I think, kicks people's butts. And honestly, I don't even know if 6 months is enough. I think the whole first year is really hard. My hair was falling out. Like I said, I was super depressed. I was going through a really hard time. I was laid off from my job. I went through a really bad breakup, and all that happened within weeks of each other. So it was like the biggest slap in the face I've ever gone through, and I'm glad that it's been far removed from now, even though it still hurts. I'm still getting out of it, and I'm still waking up every day and trying to live my best life. Another lesson is for sure to learn Portuguese. Like I said, I was super depressed, so it was really hard for me to even get out of bed at times. But knowing the basics, knowing like where are you, how much is this, where are you going, what's your name, like the little basic things, how to order, will definitely help a lot, especially when you live outside the city and you're trying to make orders. You're just trying to live life. 1,000% like recommend living. Don't rely on knowing English. Don't rely on knowing Spanish, because like I said, even though Spanish and Portuguese overlap a lot, there's still going to be a lot of differences. Don't expect moving to Portugal to be perfect. Moving abroad is still life, and it's a new setting, and there's so much newness and there's so much unknown, and you don't really know what's going to happen until you're in it. And if you're an anxious person like I am, if you're prone to depression, like I would definitely recommend having routines, having people that you can count on, doing things that you know will make you happy, because it is rough. It's rough. It's rough. It's rough. Moving anywhere is considered a major life change on some chart that I found online. So if you're moving anywhere and you're moving abroad, it will definitely be a major life change, and it will be something that will completely shake up your life. So I would just be prepared to be excited, I hate when people say this, but be curious in a way of how life is going to be, because you can have one idea of how life is going to be moving abroad, but then the reality of moving abroad is something completely different. And it's difficult. I'm not going to lie. It's 100% difficult, especially when, like for me, example, I'm not having a job and trying to look for a job and trying to figure out what it is I want to do next. Like, if you find yourself in a situation like that, I 100% recommend at least making at least one or two, three friends that you know will have your back, that you can call when you're feeling low, that you know will be there for you in those difficult times. But if you want to see what life is like moving abroad and living abroad, I'm going to be uploading on this channel weekly. I will be posting more about the process of renewing my visa, or not my visa, of renewing my residency card. Um, you never know, like moving to Portugal might be perfect for you, especially with the current climate in the US, which I will not talk about because I would rather not know all the details of how horrible it is in the old country. Um, but let's go on this journey together and figure out how better to integrate, how better to live life, and how to live a more fulfilled life in such a beautiful place like Portugal, where there's so much to see, so many people to meet, so many delicious pastries and different types of ways to eat codfish. I'm excited to share it with you. Bye.